spent the last 15 years of my life pursuing physical wellness. I earned my master's degree in health and exercise science from Furman University and have been instructing undergraduate classes in exercise science and nutrition at Furman ever since. I'm also actively involved in public health initiatives such as the Greater Greenville Shrinkdown and Activate Upstate. Health has always been very important to me. And for years I thought that it was up to me to stay healthy. Eat right, exercise, maintain a healthy body weight, and don't smoke. That was the key to a long, happy life. But several years ago, God taught me otherwise. I was in the prime of my life and 5 months pregnant with our first child. And then I received a call. I had melanoma, which is the most deadly form of skin cancer. I couldn't believe it. I thought I was so healthy, and I thought that I was in control. Why did God do this to me? I didn't deserve this. But then I realized that I am not in control. He gave me my first breath, and He will give me my last, and it isn't up to me. He spared my life that day, but my scars remain, and He left me with a whole new perspective on physical health. I'm so thankful for every day that He has given me and the body that He has given me. The human body is absolutely fascinating, and anyone who studies it can only have a small appreciation for what it truly is. God obviously took His time creating each one of us, and He created us in His image. How could I mistreat such an amazing gift that He has given to me? I want to honor Him with it and to make the most of every day that He has given me on this earth. In 1 Corinthians, Paul writes, "Do you not know that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit who is in you, whom you have received from God? You are not your own. You were bought at a price. Therefore honor God with your body." True, our earthly bodies are only temporary, and someday they'll waste away like the rest of us. We shouldn't hold on to them too tightly. But out of respect for our magnificent Creator, we should respect them and care for them. So how do we take care of our physical bodies? First, let's start with what you put in it. You may have heard the old saying that you are what you eat. And did you know that really is true? We are what we eat. At our basic level, we're all made of cells, and each human cell has a membrane that surrounds the cell. Do you know what your membranes are made of? Fat. We all have fat cell membranes. And the fats that you choose to eat determine the fats that are incorporated in your cell membranes. So if someone chooses to eat lots of bacon cheeseburgers, that means that their diet is high in saturated fats, and those saturated fats are incorporated into the outside of that cell membrane of every cell in their body. And that changes the cell structure. It actually makes the cells very rigid. The cells can't move through our blood vessels very easily, and it makes it harder for substances to get in and out of the cells, and it makes it harder for the cells to communicate with one another. If instead of eating lots of bacon cheeseburgers, let's say we choose to eat foods that are high in omega-3 fats like salmon or fish. Now omega-3 fats are incorporated into our cell membranes, and now those cell membranes are nice and pliable. It makes it easier for those cells to get through the tiny blood vessels of the body. It makes it easier for things to get into and out of the cells, and it makes it easier for the cells to communicate with one another. So we truly are what we eat. Michael Pollan, a New York Times writer, wrote a wonderful book called In Defense of Food, and he argues that everyone makes nutrition science too complicated, which is probably true. You might have heard a lot of contradicting information back and forth about what's right to eat and what's not right to eat, but I think he sums it up best with these 3 basic principles. The first principle is to eat food. That sounds silly, but real food, as close as the natural form that God created it to be as possible, like whole grains, fruits and vegetables, beans and nuts, and lean meats. The closer we get to God's creation, the more nutritious it is. And generally, the more we process or refine a food, the less nutritious it is for us. For example, it's better to eat whole, fresh strawberries in the peak of the summer, freshly picked, than a strawberry-flavored, artificially colored fruit snack. That would be less nutritious. So if we can get back to kind of what God created for us, then that's healthier for our body. So eat food. Remember the first one. The second principle, mostly plants. And our major health organizations are all in strong scientific agreement on this one. We should all eat a plant-based diet. And that doesn't mean you have to be a vegetarian necessarily. That's fine if you'd like to be. But a plant-based diet is actually the healthiest way to eat for optimum wellness. For example, if you take your plate at each meal and you divide it into 4 equal sections, you would make 2 of those sections fruits and vegetables, so half of your plate is fruits and vegetables. 1/4 of your plate is whole grains like brown rice, and then the remaining quarter could be something like a lean animal protein, or if you choose to be vegetarian, maybe beans or tofu instead. So you'll see that 3/4 of the plate is plants and only a small portion is animal foods. I find it interesting when I read the Bible that it also reinforces what we know from the scientific literature, that plant foods are the healthiest. You'll see several references throughout the Bible made for drinking too much and eating too much flesh or too much animal flesh, which I find interesting because we know from a science perspective that some alcohol may benefit the health, but too much is adversely affecting the health. Some meat can be healthy to a diet, but too much we see can lead to things like certain cancers, stomach and colorectal cancer, and cardiovascular disease. So interesting that science and our scripture relate to one another in that way. So the first principle was eat food. The second principle was mostly plants. And the third principle is not too much. Again, you'll see references in the Bible to avoiding gluttony and being careful not to eat too much food. Back in the time of Jesus' day, there probably wasn't as big of a deal as it is now. Our lives these days are much more sedentary than in his time. You see many verses where they'll talk about people going for long periods of time and walking for days and days to get to destinations when that's just not the way it is anymore. We can drive anywhere. I can drive just down the block to pick up something in a drive-thru or a grocery store. So it's important that we make sure that we're only eating what we need, and that helps us to give food to those who don't have enough, and that we keep moving our bodies because God has designed our bodies to move. And what we find in the science literature is that the more you move your body, the more it can do, and the less you move your body, the less it can do. So again, to sum up all of basic nutrition, eat food, mostly plants, not too much. Another tool that you can use to maintain a healthy diet is from the Mayo Clinic. It's called the Mayo Clinic Healthy Weight Pyramid. You'll see in this pyramid, it looks similar to the government pyramid or perhaps other food pyramids that you've seen, but it's geared specifically for people who are trying to maintain a healthy body weight or to achieve a healthy body weight or lose weight. And the idea is that the foods at the bottom of the pyramid are the foods that you eat the most, and the foods at the tip of the pyramid are the foods that you want to choose sparingly. So at the bottom of the Mayo Clinic pyramid, you'll see listed fruits and vegetables at the base of the food pyramid. And if you look over on the side, most people are excited to see that these are recommended in unlimited quantities. You can have as many fruits and as many vegetables as you would like. At least 3 fruits and at least 4 vegetables a day. Wide variety, every shape, every kind, every color. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, white, brown. Every color of fruits and vegetables have different nutrients in them. And I can only think that God did that intentionally for us. For example, red tomatoes have lycopene that may help with prostate health. Dark green leafy vegetables have lutein in them, and that is stored in the eyes and helps to reduce the risk of age-related macular degeneration, which is a leading cause of blindness as we get older. Orange fruits and vegetables have beta-carotene. Blueberries have anthocyanins. So all of these different colors have different nutrients that are beneficial to our health. And they're nice to look at as well if you choose a multicolored diet. And some people might say, can I really have unlimited fruits and vegetables? I can have as many grapes as I want. I don't have to count them out or have a certain portion of them. How can that be? Well, as you see, this is geared for healthy body weight. And most fruits and vegetables are so high in water and fiber that chances are that your stomach is going to fill up before you eat a lot of calories. For example, you'd have to eat about a truckload of strawberries to gain a significant amount of body weight, and chances are you're going to get full before you can put that truckload down. So unlimited fruits and vegetables should be the base of the diet. The next tier up you'll see is whole grains. Whole grains have the outer bran, the germ, and the inner endosperm of the grain. Things like brown rice and 100% whole grain bread or whole grain cereal, whole grain pastas, popcorn's actually a whole grain crackers. These are more nutritious than their refined counterparts, things like white bread and white pasta. They have more nutrients and phytochemicals and fiber in them. The next tier above whole grains you'll see are the protein and dairy. And their recommended foods are pretty important. Rather than just saying the meat group, you'll actually see beans listed first. Beans tend to get overlooked in a lot of cooking, but they're really healthy because they contain so many nutrients. They're high in fiber, low in saturated fat, cholesterol free. They're just a nutrient powerhouse. So think about making those in your weekly meal, maybe 1 or 2 nights per week. Beans, fish for their omega-3 contents, not any meat, but lean meat, and not any dairy, but low-fat dairy would be best because the lean meat and the low-fat dairy have less saturated fat and cholesterol and are probably better for the heart than the fattier versions. Above the protein and dairy group, you'll see fats, and fats have actually been pulled down from the old USDA food pyramid. Fats are okay to eat. It's okay to eat healthy fats. We just want to choose unsaturated fats and just choose them in moderation. Things like olive oil and vegetable oils and canola oil, nuts and seeds and avocados, olives. Those are the healthier types of fats. Notice that most of those are plant fats that are the healthy fats. And then at the very tip of the food pyramid, if you'll hold on to your chairs, is the sweets category. And the Mayo Clinic Food Pyramid recommends that up to 75 calories a day can come from sweets, or junky calories, if you will. And most people don't like to hear that because that sounds pretty strict. I think that's pretty strict as well, but if you'll notice, if someone is trying to lose weight or maintain a healthy body weight, there's no way that you're going to be able to fill up and eat all of those other nutritious foods if you're eating a lot of empty calorie foods. For example, if you eat a cup of sugar, that has about 800 calories in it and nothing else. There's not a single vitamin or mineral or phytochemical in there to help your body. So we don't want to fill up on those empty calorie foods. We want to focus more on the healthy foods. My personal rule of thumb is about 200 junky calories per day. As long as I'm eating lots of nutritious other foods throughout the day, then I don't mind having a small snack or a little bit of ice cream, something like that, as long as I know that I've eaten healthier foods throughout the day. So the Mayo Clinic Healthy Weight Pyramid is a great tool that you can use to make sure that you're eating a healthy diet.